Hello, everyone. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to use the new ChabotLibrary LTI. This is the app that allows you to create a reading list of resources that are available from the library, but have them appear as if they are directly already in your Canvas course in most cases. There is a presentation URL that you can look at in addition to this tutorial. Its URL is at https://tinyurl.com/capital C of Chabot, capital L of library, and then LTI in caps. And that will take you directly to the presentation, which looks like this in here. I'm going to first go into talk a little bit about the presentation, and then we are going to go directly into Canvas so I can show you what to do step by step. Before I begin, let me just remind you that the key features of using this app are that articles and ebooks stay on databases servers, but they appear to be directly inside the Canvas course. If you put the articles or ebooks directly into the Canvas course itself, you may be risking copyright violations, which granted I will get to in a second. 85% of the time, there is no need for students to have to enter another way to log in. There's a separate way to log into databases compared to Canvas, but it's the same as logging into ClassWeb. That's the WID number and the 6-digit ClassWeb PIN. But most of the time, the student is not even going to need to use that because the article or ebook will already be appearing in the course module itself. You have no need to worry about copyright violations. Copyright violations using a protected course like Canvas is actually possible. And this has been the case for over 10 years now. There's been continual Supreme Court cases in Georgia about this. So right now, there's generally an argument about no more than 10% of a volume, not an issue, but of a volume of a journal, or no more than 10% of a book, and a chapter or a short story or an essay could be considered acceptable within reason, but no more than one section you're teaching. If you're using an item for more than 2 sections, that is a copyright violation. You owe the publisher royalties if you do that. Use this LTI where the item is originally in the database server. You do not need to worry about this at all. And in most cases, it saves students steps to view the article or ebooks as it would be if you provide a link, which you have to make sure it's the right link, that is the permalink to the article, et cetera, and so forth. It removes all that guesswork. Now, for those of you who have used Curriculum Builder, which is going away in the past, which this is still provided by the EBSCO vendor, but it's different. Your list of articles and ebooks now appear directly in your module. There is no separate unique interface inside the Canvas course. And the one downside is that if you don't know what you're selecting right away, I would recommend that you do some searches in the Articles Plus database separate, because it can be quite tedious because you need to save each individual article through the entire process. Otherwise, you're only going to save the last article you came across. So in other words, if you're just exploring and you're not sure what you're going to use as of yet, I recommend starting from the library homepage, going into databases, or you can click on Articles Plus from the one search box. But it's important you select Articles Plus. Enter your search topic. The one I've been using is the Juneteenth holiday itself. And when you come across something that comes to your interest, I recommend, well, first of all, you do need to remember to sign in fully. So I'm going to backtrack for a second. On the top where it says welcome guest, you click on that. And then you come across something, this looks like a new book that has appeared since I last did this last June. So let's say that we want to use this. So I'm going to make sure I email the citation, at least the current page, to remind myself what the resource is. And I'm going to send that to myself. And you do this for each and individual one this way. And then you can have a document. Let me go to my document that I have here. I currently have this untitled conspicuously. And let's say, okay, I want to add this to my list of titles. And so I'm going to copy and paste this, Juneteenth, the story behind the celebration. And I'm going to include that here as well. So here, so I have my list of titles, and now I am ready to use the app. So now we're going to go ahead and use the app, and I'm going to go back a couple of steps here to say, I'm going to wait, here we go. I'm going to log out first deliberately. Oh. I'm going to log out fully. And the reason why I'm doing this is just to remind yourself how to get in for all the steps. So let's say we begin here in Canvas. We click on login with our WID number and the password associated. We go into the course that is related. And we're now going to be creating a new reading list. So I'm going to go to make sure I'm in my course itself. And what I wanted to do was add a course module. Oh, here we go. Left side, I had to remember that part. Modules. And then we click plus module. And let's say, okay, this, it will give it maybe like a reading list week number 3 or something like that. We add our module. And then we scroll down and we'll appear towards the bottom. We want to make sure that our module is published. I usually like to do this right away. Otherwise, it's easy to get lost and forget that part. You may have your own system of how you want to do this for your module. Click on the plus sign. And under add, we want it to be external tool, not external URL, but external tool. And so what we're looking for is the one titled ChabotLibrary, not Curriculum Builder. If you see Curriculum Builder, it's probably still listed there. That's eventually going to go away. So you want ChabotLibrary. And so this provides, as you can see, takes us into the Articles Plus database interface. So we're now ready to do our searches. So now we're going to go back to, say, our document of titles we want to include in our reading list. And by doing this ahead of time, this is going to save you a lot of time and a lot of frustration. Because what you do, excuse me a second. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Real life. Okay, so we go ahead and we paste that. Click on search. And so we scroll down and for some reason that didn't come up. I'm going to do another search and do it abbreviated. Yeah, there it is. Something just didn't come up for a reason. And you notice this little thing here, add, we click on add. Now, if you go down to the other ones and click add again, that's going to throw you off. You need to make sure that at this point you add the individual item. And I recommend this is a good practice. Publish that as you go. Before we go to adding another one from this list. So we make sure we're at external tools, ChabotLibrary again. Select that. And now we're ready to do our next one. So we're going to do this for each one. So do one for this one, and African American and Latinx history of the United States. Click search. And it usually will appear towards the top. Sometimes you may have to go down a few. Click add on the top right, then add item. Make sure it appears below here. Click on publish. And then we'll do this again for the next few. So again, external tools, ChabotLibrary. Click on that. So ChabotLibrary. Enter the next one, click search. And then this is important, add item, otherwise it's not going to show up there on the bottom and you'll have to go back. So you want to make sure you do it for each one. So Ralph Ellison and his book, The Juneteenth, for it. External tools, ChabotLibrary. Don't click add item right there. We still need to do this part. Click search. Click add. And then add item. Make sure that's highlighted. History and Ralph Ellison's Juneteenth. Plus sign, external tools, ChabotLibrary. Paste our title, click search. And finally, I'm going to add the new find from today. The new, looks like the newly added item probably was just added to our subscription database. Maybe John just ordered it, but I suspect it's the former. Because, you know, it's been the summer, so there hasn't been much time for John to order. So I suspect that's going on. External tool, ChabotLibrary. Paste our title, click search, and add. And then remember the last part, add item here, and it's highlighted. So as you can see, our whole reading list for week number 3 is now available. Now, it always helps to preview this in student view. So we're now going to go into as if we're the student and look at this in student view. So we take a look at each one to make sure it comes up fine. Now, right now, I'm in Firefox, and right now the Firefox settings are already changed from where it originally was set. But this is going to be important because I'm going to show you what happens if you're in your default, and let alone for your student, if you're in your default Firefox settings. So you notice here under applications, this is going into preferences and scrolling down applications. To settings, that is. We want to make sure that when it says portable PDF, that says open in Firefox, not save file. If it's in save file, let me show you how it would look like in a second. Okay, so let me just reload this. And see, instead, nothing shows up here, and instead up here, it's downloading. Now, if your student is using a device or has low memory, it might be preferable for the student to want to have their Firefox settings to have a save as PDF. And definitely if they're using a smartphone or a pad, I would strongly recommend that. But otherwise, it's just easier to view it in the course itself. So you want to advise your students to, in their settings, under applications, have under PDF portable document file, have that go to open in Firefox instead. That way, the article will appear directly in their Canvas course setting. So, and then, they can choose to save it or download or print it, whatever they choose to do. So it's something that's definitely important. So we want to make sure that that works for each one. So now let's take a quick look at the other items and make sure nothing unusual came up for the student point of view. And we'll go back to the reading list 3. So we go directly here. So let's see, the African and Latinx history, United States. Good, this is coming up fine. And by the way, it doesn't hurt when you're in student view to look at this in other browsers and other devices to make sure. This is what I regularly do as the default online librarian here after all. And so here's Juneteenth, Black Texans and the case for reparations. Here, that's coming up directly on here. Go back to reading list. Let's see, Ralph Ellison and the paradox of Juneteenth. Now, in this case, the article is not an EBSCO article. So this would be an extra step. And this is where the student would click on JSTOR full text in this case. And since we're on campus, it comes in directly. If it's off campus, they will need to enter their WID number and their 6-digit PIN before seeing this. Otherwise, they'll be in preview mode of JSTOR and no one wants to deal with that. So, and likewise, if it says Gale or something else, and finally, this last one, our new find today, Juneteenth, the story behind the curtain. Excellent. Now, all of this came up successfully. So that, in a nutshell, is what the experience is. What if you already have some reading lists from Curriculum Builder in the past and are now using it for a new class? Well, what I would recommend is going through and copying and pasting the titles on here, because unfortunately the Curriculum Builder does not automatically transfer over. Now, there are unique instructions if you are using a Mac. So let me go back to this presentation and let me get out of this for a second, because I just want to go to the last slide. And we've only begun doing testing, and I personally, Norman Buchwald, I don't have a Mac, so I have to rely on others who have a Mac, who are mainly Eugenia Chan and Kim Morrison. And one thing that I've learned is that if you're using Safari, you need to disable in its preferences in Safari, website tracking, prevent cross-site tracking. That needs to be disabled. If you don't disable it, most of your LTIs are not going to work in Canvas, and you need to provide students such instructions if they are using the Safari browser. So that's about it in a nutshell. As I said before, for pads and smartphones, because of network speed, students should probably still have it in save mode. Ebooks, by the way, because of publisher restrictions, they're only going to show up to view in regardless of what the settings are. This is why probably all the more important Firefox should ideally be in open in Firefox and not save, because there might be some problems there. But also, if you are going to have students looking at ebooks, you need to understand that it's going to take time for it to download on their device, and maybe even if it's a especially complicated book, to toggle between pages. So you definitely do need to keep that in mind. And that's true whether it's going directly in a database or in Canvas. So no difference there in terms of any considerations. Now, sometimes what you might want to find may not be available for Articles Plus. However, it's available in any of our databases. That's where a permalink would be preferable, but then, of course, unfortunately, the student will have to leave the environment and enter, of course, their WID number and 6-digit class web PIN. And then there are times where there are certain items not available to the library at all where you may need to follow different instructions. I am anticipating as time goes by, for example, for OER books that are not in EBSCO, there may be some unique interface, and there may be eventually an LTI app, and probably apps plural for those. So similar process here, but then you would be looking for those particular LTI apps. So that is it in a nutshell for this tutorial. If you have any questions, definitely contact me, Norman Buchwald. My email address is nbuchwald@chabotcollege.edu. Let me go to our contact us page and go to the library staff, and there's my email there, as well as my work phone number. And if you're off campus, we can set this up through a Zoom session. So I can help you step by step. You can definitely visit me in my office in 117 if you need any help working directly using this new LTI. I think overall this LTI is for the most part a little bit more seamless and easier. Only challenge is that you have to go somewhere else if you want to explore and don't already have some known titles. So that's it. Hope you have a wonderful semester, and I look forward to hearing about our student success in using the reading lists you incorporate inside your Canvas courses. Thank you and have a great day.